Now we have the camera moving along with the player. That's looking pretty good. Let's add a little bit of visual to the background while we're looking at camera. Okay, so let's go to our art pack and find the 3 cloud images. I'm going to import all 3 of them. I'm just going to put them into the folder here. Okay, good. Now again, we can tweak the pixels to units to scale them in the scene, and they're all single sprites, so that's good. Just going to drag and drop. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. I'm just going to drag them into the scene one by one. The problem with dragging multiple sprites into the scene, as we know, that Unity is going to try to create an animation out of the sprites, which is nice, but it's not what we are trying to do here. Right, so I'm just going to sort of place them randomly in the scene. I'm going to do Command D to duplicate them, put them around the scene a bit. Let's just do a few more of these. Okay, now when we play, we have those clouds in the air. It's kind of a nice little touch. As you can see, they're being drawn before the player, so we're gonna change the ordering layer again. Let's check the player layer. The player is at 0, so I'm gonna put these at -2 for now. Okay, we play it. You can see it now. They're behind the player, so that's great. But one thing that a lot of 2D platformers do is to make objects that are further away from the camera move slower than objects that are closer to the camera. Right, so that's called a parallaxing effect, parallaxing scrolling, and what that does is it sort of gives the game a bit more depth, visually some depth to the background. So right now when we move the character around, you can see that all the clouds are moving at the same speed, and I'm going to change that. So the first thing to do, and this is actually a really simple thing to do in Unity, because Unity is a 3D engine, right? So we can actually use that to our advantage. So all you have to do is first go to the main camera. Let's change projection from orthographic to perspective, right? And then you might have to adjust your field of view to get the same sort of zooming distance. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to move some of these clouds to the back. As you can see that I'm now in the 3D world. If you're in 2D, just click on this button here. And I'm going to move these few objects further away from the camera. And as you can see, that as I'm doing that, they start to appear smaller on the screen. I'm going to move a few of them back some more. Okay, and that's all you have to do. Now when you play, because they're further away from the camera and we're in perspective mode, they are going to move slower than the ones that are closer to the camera. Right, so that's a quick way to have parallaxing in Unity, and it's kind of a cool trick. Right, and now I think I want the clouds to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to change pixels to units to 50. Now they're twice as big. And another thing that we can do here is, if you notice some artifacts around the image, you can go to filter mode and change to point. I think the default is bilinear, and that doesn't always give you the most sort of accurate visual for these sprites. So we can change that to point. Point. Okay, let's take a look at that again. It should be fairly obvious that the clouds are moving, or visually they're moving at different speed because of their positions on the z-axis. So we can kind of in the 3D view. Right. Okay, great. So that's parallaxing.